Hi, I'm Richard Harrison from Innovator International, and on today's Innovator Visa Tips, I would like to talk a little bit more about how people transition from startup to Innovator Visa, especially the new revised Innovator Founder Visa, and some of the challenges we see. So this should be particularly interesting to people who are on a startup or people who represent someone who's on a startup and wants to know what the next step actually is. So normally you're on the startup visa for up to 2 years. It can be less if you've achieved the criteria to progress. And then you want to go on to the main innovator visa where you start building your time, your 3 years towards your ILR. Now we do manage a number of conversions from startup to innovator, both our own clients, other endorsing bodies clients, and those coming out of university startups. And we see some absolutely fantastic businesses, but equally there is a challenge with a number. So firstly, let me describe how you actually apply. Anyone who wants to apply for the new Innovator Founder Visa through Innovator International simply goes to our website, innovatorinternational.com. You download the pack, you look at the pack, you look at what you need to upload. You can then upload your documents if you choose to proceed, and you make the payment. The application has to be made by the applicant themselves. It can't be made by a representative, by an immigration specialist, by a university representative. But these are the things we are going to be discussing in our meeting tomorrow, which I'm just checking my calendar, is Friday the 28th of April. If you're watching this retrospectively, then that session should be available on YouTube or through my LinkedIn profile. But let's go back now so you know how to apply. It's quite simple, quite straightforward. It's through our website. Let's look at the conditions you need to meet in order to progress from a startup to an innovator. Now, if I go to the guidance for endorsing bodies, there are a number of points here, but we're really looking at three main things. Number one, that the business is active, trading, and sustainable. Three key things there: active, trading, and sustainable. And by sustainable, there was a phrase, there's actually a phrase in the endorsement letter, and it was in last year's guidance for endorsing bodies. They should have secured enough orders or work to be able to be sustainable for the next 12 months. Now, this is one of the challenges that we see. We see a number of people who have built a business for 2 years and their turnover is very, very small for a business that's been running for that time. We get that there may have been a research period there and so on. But if you've been running for 2 years and you're turning over less than 10K, then that's a challenge. I mean, typically we'd want to see around 50K's worth of revenue after 2 years. That probably reasonably justifies a year getting things developed and up and running, and a year getting some traction. But that's the sort of activity that we want to see for trading and sustainable. And it's great to see repeat orders. It's great to see repeat clients and so on. Yeah, so that's where we are. We're looking at, I'm saying the 50K mark. I mean, that's it's very easy to generalize and suggest a single figure. Some businesses will have done less because they've done more R&D. Some will be doing more. Some have done a few 100K in their second year, which is absolutely incredible. But we're looking at a reasonable degree of commercial traction. I think that's the main point. The next point is significant progress against a previously endorsed business plan. When your business plan was endorsed, you basically committed to start a journey. And we understand that some companies, they have to pivot onto a new business. Things haven't worked, they've had to change. That should have all been approved by your endorsing body. But again, we want to see significant progress against the previous plan. What did you say you'd do in 2 years? Do we expect you to have done that? Absolutely not, because people always say they're going to do a lot more than they actually can. They come across hurdles and barriers. But as long as you're on the right path and you're making good traction, and third point, you're involved in the day-to-day management and development of the business, then that's all good. That's all good. But again, we're expecting to see what constitutes around 2 years worth of progress and some good traction and some good money coming in. Now you have to bear with me a moment because I've got some notes here that I'm making sure that I do cover all of them. So transition from startup to innovator isn't a given. It's not absolutely guaranteed. Just because you're endorsed for a startup, it doesn't mean you will be endorsed for an innovator, because you need to show us that there's traction. You need to have commitment from the start. We're looking here at companies who are typically looking to develop £1 million turnover business within, let's say, 5 years, which is a big, big commitment. It's not a small project. So this should be taking the majority of your time. And again, you have to be able to justify 2 years' work with commercial traction. The other problem that we see, and COVID is often quoted as an excuse for this, is limited innovation or no innovation. We see projects that may have had an innovative proposition. However, because of lack of commercial traction or something, they've turned into a standard turn handle or me too business. It might be someone doing some IT consultancy, or someone who had a great idea for a restaurant but is now selling, you know, just eat stuff from their own kitchen, and the innovation's gone. It's not there anymore. And firstly, if that's the case, you shouldn't actually still be on your startup visa. You shouldn't have a visa, because innovation is a fundamental part of your visa conditions. But secondly, you're not going to transition from the startup to the innovator visa. So innovation is absolutely fundamental, and continued innovation has to also be a fundamental aspect of your business. Innovation and traction or viability are two of the main reasons that we reject people looking to progress from a startup to an innovator. So that's pretty much it. Innovation, viability, and limited scalability are the things that may really cause you problems if you're looking to transition from a startup to innovator. So if you're coming to the point where you want to transition, look at where you are. Make sure you're getting that commercial traction. Make sure you've got orders. Make sure you're making progress against your plan. What have you achieved against your plan? Tell us this. Be bold. And does it reflect 2 years' work and progress? We're not really interested in knowing that you've built a website. We're not, unless you sell websites, of course. But and again, where's the innovation? What we're wanting to see is that you have commercial traction and ideally sales, and a good number of sales, to the point where you're moving from an idea through to a sustainable business, and you can then take the next step to being a growth business, which again, scalability is what this program is all about. What have you achieved? Does it reflect 2 years' work in progress? And what commercial traction do you have? Thanks for listening. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask me, but also please appreciate we are no longer able to advise on specific individual projects. If you're coming to the event tomorrow on 28th of April, I look forward to seeing you there. If you're watching this retrospectively, then you should be able to find that session either on my LinkedIn, or if you search for Innovator International on YouTube, you should also find it there. Many, many thanks for your time once again. And do remember, if you want to see other things that we've spoken about, just search LinkedIn for the hashtag Innovator Visa Tips, all one word.